Hello, hello. Welcome back to week 9 of our study on biblical cosmology. I am Moray Gabriel Freeman, and this is Under the Big Top, Biblical Cosmology, the Flat Earth, and the Lie of Heliocentrism. Last time we gathered, we were talking about the conspiracy that is in play in our world and how it is actually stated in scripture that it is in fact a conspiracy. Okay? And that this conspiracy relates to the people of the world trying to throw off the rule and authority of Yahuwah, Yah, the Most High, and his Messiah. All right? So, the last time we gathered, we went over Psalm chapter 2, verses 1 through 12. That is where we talked about the active conspiracy. This time, we're going to move on because we have to talk about why so many people are trying to leave Earth. And I don't mean leave Earth as in die, although there's a lot of people trying to do that. I mean leave Earth as in trying to leave the flat plane and ascend into heaven where the Most High is. They call it space travel, and they got, I believe, last year around $25 million, NASA, to, not 20, is it 25 million or 25 billion? It may be 25 billion, I'm not sure. It's a lot of money. And it's a lot of money that makes me question what they're doing with it, considering that no one's actually ever been to space, because space it doesn't exist. It's not a reality. I think that there are nefarious things afoot. I think that they are possibly still trying to get through the firmament to no avail, mind you. And we're going to talk about, before we even start talking about the ins and the outs and the deception and the inner workings of NASA, we have to talk about where this dream to leave Earth came from. And this dream comes from Shaitan. All right? We're going to talk about that because Shaitan, if you don't already know, is the prince of the power of the air, but even he is limited. He can have an audience with the Most High, but he is not welcome in the holy habitation of the Most High. He is an enemy, all right? And as it stands, he is under this firmament with us, higher than us in the heavenly regions, but the inmate, because he is, for all intents and purposes, trapped in here with us, is running the asylum. All right? Every now and then he may accompany his brothers, like in the story of Job when it says that the Benai Ha Elohim, they went to have an audience with Yah, and the adversary came with them. But for the most part, he's in here with us. All right? And he has been for quite some time. Okay? So, I think I'm going to read Psalm chapter 2, verses 1 through 12. One more time, the NIV version of it. Because it explicitly states that there is a conspiracy happening, that they are conspiring. Okay? So, it says, why do the nations conspire and the peoples plot in vain. The kings of the earth rise up, and the rulers band together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their chains and throw off their shackles. All right. So why do the nations conspire? All right. This is when a group of people get together, especially powerful men, and their aims and objectives are no good. This is what you can call a conspiracy to do evil. The world and its leaders are actively engaged in a conspiracy, especially its leaders, the people at the very top. All right. And it is funny, but not really funny, that people continue to take the bait. All right. So it says, the kings of the earth rise up and the rulers band together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their chains and throw off their shackles. Let us remove the restrictions, the restraints from the Most High from us, so that we can do whatever we please, so that we can, in essence, become the gods of our own reality. All right? And it says, the one enthroned in heaven laughs. The Lord scoffs at them. He rebukes them in his anger and terrifies them in his wrath, saying, I have installed my king on Zion, my holy mountain. And then David, by means of being a prophet, all right, he starts to declare the mind of the Son of Yah. And it says, I will proclaim the Lord's decree. He said to me, you are my son. Today I have become your father. Ask me, and I will make the nations your inheritance, the ends of the earth your possession. You will break them with a rod of iron. You will dash them to pieces like pottery. And if you go to the last book of the Bible, the book of Revelation, it speaks of the Messiah ruling with a rod of iron. All right. In other words, when the Messiah returns, there's not going to be a vote. There's not going to be a ballot. It is going to be a worldwide theocracy. And he is going to rule with the Torah as the Constitution. All right. With his nation of people being teachers of those who wish to cleave to the covenant. All right. And it is going to be a rule, a firm but gentle rule. And there's not going to be a lot of back talking because the king is here. All right. You're not dealing with just a regular man. You're dealing with the omnipotent one. All right. So it says, therefore, you kings, be wise. Be warned, you rulers of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear and celebrate his rule with trembling. All right. Kiss the Son, or bend the knee. All right. Assume the right heart posture. All right. Understand that you are subject to the king. All right. That there is an order, that there are rankings. There is Father, there is the Spirit, there's the Son, and then there is the bride. All right. Understand that we have a ranking system here. All right. And it says, serve the Lord with fear and celebrate his rule with trembling. Kiss his Son, or he will be angry, and your way will lead to your destruction. For his wrath can flare up in a moment. Blessed are all who take refuge in him. And this is speaking once again more to more expressly or explicitly when he is ruling over the world after this period of just debauchery is done with. But it says, kiss the Son, all right, or make peace with him, lest he be angry, all right? Because as I said, the Messiah, the lowly, gentle Jesus that you have heard about for so long, and whose image has been perverted to the degree that he's just become a passive noodle of a man in the eyes of many people. When he returns, he will no longer be viewed as such, because you will have an encounter with the great Lion of Judah, the great King. And when he is ruling, his rule is going to be firm. It's going to be just. All right. He's going to be gentle to the people who love him, but don't expect him to tolerate unrighteousness or unholiness during that time and leading up to that time, especially in the time that we're living in. Basically, you're going to start to see manifestations of his judgment if you haven't already started to see them. All right. Because this is the time of his visitation. All right. This is the time of his visitation. This is the time where Yah is about to declare and give us an accurate image of who he is and who his Messiah is, because people have forgotten. All right. There's not a lot of accurate teaching about the person, the character, the attributes of God. All right. People believe that you can get infinite second chances with Yah, but they don't understand that Yah has a cutoff point. And after a while, your second chance, your third chance, your fourth chance, your fifth chance is going to be your last chance. All right. He's going to hand you over to the wickedness of your own heart, and then he's going to judge you. All right. So there is a cutoff point. All right. There is no such thing as the reckless love God, the way that he is taught, the way that people teach about him in Western Christianity. It's not real. It's a fallacy. All right. God will go after one of his sheep. All right. But he will not tolerate disrespect and mockery and scoffing for too long. All right. So just keep your eyes on the world. You're going to see a lot of manifestations of judgment coming, because we are, as I stated before, living in the book of Revelation. All right. So in the Hebrew text before bands, which is in the KJV, or chains, which is in the NIV version of Psalm chapter 2:3, and the Lord, all caps, Lord, which is in the KJV, and the Lord, which is in the NIV, of Psalm chapter 2:11, the Aleph 2. The divine marker representing Messiah, the word of Yah, is written. Okay? Those in the halls of power who seek to cast off the restraints and usurp the authority of the Son of the Highest would do well to bend the knee in submission to him. All right. So before it says, why do the nations conspire and the peoples plot in vain? The kings of the earth rise up and the rulers band. Before that, you will find the Aleph 2 or the Aleph Tav or the Alpha and Omega in Greek before band. And before you get to Lord in Psalm chapter 2, verse 11, you will find the same divine marker. And of course, this indicates the Messiah. All right. Once again, placing emphasis on his deity. Okay. So those in the halls of power who seek to cast off the restraints and usurp the authority of the Son of the Highest would do well to bend the knee in submission to him. Okay. Now let's move on to NASA. Let's get it popping. Let's start talking, because the people who have been conspiring against Yah, NASA is a part of this conspiracy. It's been a part of this conspiracy. The people that created NASA were involved in the conspiracy. The person who came up with the rocket technology that contributed to NASA was part of the conspiracy. We're going to talk about good old Jack Parsons real soon. But the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or NASA, is full of people who knowingly or unknowingly work to hide the creator from his creation. All right? Why? Because NASA repeatedly tells you that, yeah, we just sent something up to space, and then they create these computer-generated images, and they post it on social media, their social media site, and they just look, a view of Mars, and they're just like, a view of Saturn at this and such time, and they're like, look at this, a view of the moon, and then those same images are put into movies, and they're given motion, and everybody's like, man, I want to go to space. You got little kids out there who are fantasizing about going to a place that doesn't even exist. It's not real, all right? The shock they're going to have when they grow up, pursue this career, and they're told is all a lie. Okay? It's all a lie, all right? They've been telling people for a long time that they lost the technology. I think that's what they say. They say they lost the technology. They haven't been back to the moon because they lost the technology. And if you go take a look at that technology and that moon landing, you're going to be like, so y'all lost aluminum foil and what? You lost the technology. All right? None of this makes sense. Okay? So, I mean, it's the most rinky-dink set. It's out of pocket. So then it says, therefore, the pseudoscience. Remember that word, pseudoscience. Pseudoscience is something that appears to be scientific, but it's not. It's presented to you as science, but it's not science. All right? Actual science, to do actual science, you have to study and observe what really exists. Pseudoscience is revealed when the thing that is being studied is a figment of your imagination. It's pseudoscience. And propaganda created and pushed by them on the masses, whether visual or literary, should be at most rejected and at least ridiculed for its adherence to an ancient, deceptive, anti-God agenda. Okay? So at the very least, you should laugh at it or just ridicule it. I mean, that's what I do. All right? I kind of laugh at it. When they put images up with space, I see Elon Musk on Twitter, and he be posting things about space and Mars, and I just be laughing at it. It becomes clear who's a puppet by the things that they say. And this is why it's very important to declare what is true. Okay? Because the truth, the Most High's truth, reveals who's in on the scam, who's part of the conspiracy, who is lying to you. So when people say, you got these people coming, they're just like, oh, well, we're part of this, and they start showing you things. Some of those people are deceived themselves, all right? And what you need to understand about people who have been deceived, they make excellent agents, all right? An agent doesn't have to know he or she is an agent to be an effective agent, to be someone who is protecting the system. In the Matrix, Morpheus says to Neo that any one of the people you see is a potential agent, because these people are willing to die to protect the lie. All right? And until a person is unplugged from the deception that is the Matrix, they may very well prove to be your enemy. All right? So someone going to college for years and being educated, or as I like to say at times, indoctrinated into a belief, all right? Just being told, ignore your eyes, ignore what you hear. Just remember our doctrine, because that's part of the word, indoctrinated, okay? These people consume it. They contemplate it. And then they get to a point where they make it a part of them. They literally, it becomes part of the integrity of their being. Meaning that when the lie collapses, these people are going to collapse too. Okay? And that's the danger of the lie. Because once you accept a lie into you, you make it a part of you. It's like you're putting up a wall against opposite things said that are contrary to the lie. So whenever a lie is exposed, it takes something from you, and it can cause a significant feeling of cognitive dissonance. All right? When a lie is exposed and people come out and say, yeah, but that's not true, and here's the ironclad proof that that's not true, people might start to feel like it's a very uncomfortable feeling, and they might even become irrational, very angry. All right? It's interesting because it happens when I tell people that the Messiah was black. You want to see people suffer cognitive dissonance? Tell a population who has believed for a very long time, hundreds of years, that the Messiah was a white man, a white hippie going around the place and just, tell them that he wasn't, they say, well, yeah, he was olive skinned. And I'm saying, yeah, he was black. There's black olives, right? People say he was black, and I'm just like, he wasn't green. I mean, they say he was olive skinned. I'm like, well, he wasn't a greenish, yellowish color. He was like the black olives. He was black. All right. So you want to see people start to melt down, tell them that truth, and then prove it to them if they aren't yelling incoherently. And then you'll start to see what holding on to a lie does to the psyche of a person. All right. And this is why I have said before that people are unprepared for what's coming, because when the house of cards of lies start to fall, you're going to see a lot of people acting irrationally and screaming incoherently. All right. People are going to become blubbering messes. All right. Of tears and sweat. It's going to be a wild time. And I'm just saying to you to buckle up before we get there. All right. So let's go to Jeremiah chapter 51, verses 52 to 53 in the KJV. Jeremiah chapter 51, verses 52 to 53 in the KJV. All right. And before I even start, this chapter deals with America. If you want to hear America being talked about hundreds of years before America existed, but called a name that you have heard before, Babylon. This is why in the book of Revelation it is called Mystery Babylon, because the identity of this Babylon in ancient times was a mystery. It had not come to be yet, but Yah was talking about it like he was standing in front of it, just hurling insults. The reality is he was, because what prophecy is, Yah is sending a message back to us in the present. He's speaking from the future place, and he's telling us what he is witnessing. So people think prophecy is a prediction of the future only. I'm like, no, prophecy is Yah yelling back at us. This is what's happening right now. This is what's before me right now. Babylon is this place. And Jeremiah is just recording things, but it's him communicating to the past from the future where he exists, because he exists at all times. To us, it looks like him telling us about the future, which it is in one way, but it is also him communicating to us from the future about what is about to take place. Yes, Shantae, you had something to say?
still a mystery because people just can't fathom.
They can't wrap their mind around it.
Because again, what you just told me.
Cognitive dissonance.
Period.
Yes, cognitive dissonance. No one wants to believe they're the bad guys. No one wants to believe it. And when you tell the average American that we are living in Babylon, they will vehemently deny it, and they will say, well, there's worse nations than us, because they don't look at things the way Yah looks at things. Okay? Because their view, the scope of the things that they see, is too small. All right? Because my favorite thing, one of the favorite things for Babylonians to say, I'm not even going to call Americans, I'm just going to say Babylonians. One of the favorite things for a Babylonian to say is, but we're good people. Okay? And they don't even know that that betrays that they are not good people. Because in whose estimation are you a good person? What makes you good? All right? What makes you good? According to whose standard? We're good people. A good person wouldn't outrightly brag about being a good person according to their own estimation of being good. Okay? We're good people. This can't happen to us. And I'm like, you're going to see a lot of things that happen in this nation that is going to fly in the face of you believing that you're a good people. It's going to get to a point where you're going to start to ask, are we being judged? It's going to be very painful. Okay? So, Jeremiah chapter 51, verses 52 to 53 says, wherefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will do judgment upon her graven images. Pause. Idolatry. Babylon is a land of rampant idolatry. It's a land where people worship anything and everything except for Yah. It's a land where people don't really even understand the definition of idolatry. Idolatry is when Yah does not have the place of priority in your life. Idolatry is when you can barely manage to give Yah some of your time, but you have all day to watch whatever on TV, to play whatever game, to do whatever. Idolatry is when you believe that you're in control of your life and you never go to Yah and you ask him, so Dad, what direction do I take? Idolatry is when you believe that you know it all, and when information comes to challenge your long-held beliefs, you don't humbly say to yourselves, well, I could be wrong. Maybe I need to think about this. Instead, you lean on your own understanding, which is what Scripture tells you not to do. Okay? Idolatry is when you do the complete opposite of the Most High, and idolatry is a lot of times self-idolization and pride, which is Babylon's sin, by the way. That's America's sin. All right? Because as my wife just said, this nation cannot possibly believe that we are the baddies. Are we the baddies? Yes. All right? So, it says, and through all her land, the wounded shall groan. The wounded. Listen to that. Wounded, meaning something's going to happen in Babylon that's going to wound people either spiritually or physically. I've been trying, I think it's been over 10 years, I've been trying to tell people about how Babylon has a beating coming to it unlike anything we've seen before. All right, read Revelation chapter 18 if you want some highlights of reasons why this beating is coming, okay? And it says, though Babylon, and here's the part, should mount up to heaven, and though she should fortify the height of her strength, yet from me shall spoilers come unto her, saith the Lord. In other words, Babylon is obsessed with the heavens. And she's been trying to get up there for a very long time. Not only is she obsessed with the heavens, she's obsessed with those who dwell in the heavens. Though Babylon should mount up to heaven, and though she should fortify the height of her strength, yet from me shall spoilers come unto her, saith the Lord. Did you know that one of the markers of Babylon in Scripture is Babylon, or let me just call Babylon by its original name, Babel. Its obsession with trying to enter into heaven. All right. Ancient Babel, when Nimrod was around, they tried it and they failed. Okay. And modern Babylon is also obsessed with trying to go up there. Obsessed. This nation is obsessed with trying to ascend into heaven. Ancient Babylon is mirrored by modern Babylon. And if you don't understand types and shadows, you would think that the things that are happening right now are a new thing. When our ancestors said there is nothing new under the sun. What has been is what shall be. Okay? Modern Babylon is repeating the mistakes of ancient Babylon. Though she tried to mount up to heaven, from Yah spoilers shall come. Or destruction shall come. Ravagers shall come. Okay? Let's keep going. All right? Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 51, verses 52 to 53, but this time in the Scriptures version. Okay? It says, therefore see, the days are coming, declares Yahuwah, that I shall bring punishment on her carved images, while the wounded groan throughout all her land. Though Babel, notice how it's called by the original name now. Babel should mount up to heavens, and though she should make the height of her strength inaccessible, ravagers shall come to her from me, declares Yahuwah. Okay? So, we are living in modern Babylon, who is doing the things, we are doing the things as a nation that ancient Babylon did. Okay? I'll give you some more things. Ancient Babel was a nation of mixed, what should I say, was a nation of mixed multitudes. There were people from all over the place in ancient Babel, and they all united under the banner of Nimrod. Notice how modern Babylon, out of many, one. There's so many different people here from all over the world. Okay? Likewise, Yah is going to scatter the people of this land like he did with ancient Babel. If you read in Jeremiah, it's in either chapter 50 or 51, I can't remember right now. It talks about people saying, we're going to go back to our own land when the judgment really gets hot. People are going to start to say, you know what, we're getting out of here. He even says, return to your, get out of here. All right? People are going to go back to their places of origin and just be like, nope. Because we see the writing on the wall. It says, Mene, Tekel. We're getting out of here. The hand that appeared and was writing, there are people who are starting to see it, and they're just like, is this Babylon? We gotta go. Okay, we gotta get out of here. People are starting to notice, like, okay, this is weird. All right? So, let's go to Genesis chapter 11, verses 1 through 5, and let's talk about the first iteration of Babel. Okay? Listen to this. Tell me if you notice similarities with modern Babylon. Okay? Starting with the first sentence. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. So everybody spoke the same language. In Babylon, modern Babylon, English is considered the common tongue. All right, everybody speaks the same language. And if you don't speak English in modern Babylon, people make fun of you. You don't speak English, whatever. Okay. And it says, and it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar. All right. Notice how the people who came to this nation, they were said to be immigrants or whatever, the settlers. It said that they found a land. All right. And they dwelt there. And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime they had for mortar. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. Okay, so they all got together and they said, hey, let's get together and make a name for ourselves. We're going to talk about that. But let's read the same scripture, the same passage from Genesis chapter 11, verses 1 through 5 in the Amplified Bible. All right. And it says, now the whole earth spoke one language and used the same words or vocabulary. And as people journeyed eastward, they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they settled there. They said one to another, come, let us make bricks and fire them thoroughly. Okay. So they used brick for stone as building material. And they used tar or asphalt for mortar. They said, come, let us build a city for ourselves and a tower whose top will reach into the heavens. Okay. And let us make a famous name for ourselves so that we will not be scattered into separate groups and be dispersed over the surface of the entire earth as the Lord instructed. Now the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. The number one thing I would like to take note of is that Babylon's sin then and now is pride. Come, let us make a name for ourselves. Let us make a great name for ourselves, a memorial unto ourselves, because we're the greatest people that ever lived, right? We're the apex of civilizations. We're all the things that all the nations of the past got wrong, but now we've perfected it here. Let's make a name for ourselves, all right? Let's make a name for ourselves in this new Atlantis. Let's exalt ourselves, all right? Because we're America, you know? We're America. Nobody's better than us. Even when we're not doing good, we're still doing better than everybody else. We're America. All right? And it says, listen to this part. It says, they said, come, let us build a city for ourselves and a tower whose top will reach into the heavens, and let us make a famous name for ourselves so that we will not be scattered into separate groups and be dispersed over the surface of the entire earth as the Lord instructed. Remember, Yah said that we were to be fruitful, multiply, and replenish the earth, not stay in one area. The people had other plans. They said, we don't want to move. We're going to stay right here. We're going to make a name for ourselves. All right? We're going to exalt ourselves. Okay? And it says, now the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. When you see this here, understand that Yah's not coming down to see it because he couldn't see it up there. Mm-hmm. This is called visitation. Remember I talked about that earlier when I started? Whenever Yah comes down to visit, it's bad news bears. Okay? Remember the story of Sodom and Gomorrah and the plains of the city? Mm-hmm. Remember he came down with 2 messengers? He didn't come down because he was like, man, I couldn't see how bad. I mean, my angels have been telling me how bad it was, but I couldn't believe it. Couldn't be that bad. So I came down to see. No, that's not what it meant. He came down because it was business time. It was time to settle accounts. Okay? Whenever Yah says, I'm here now, I've come to visit, it's bad news for whoever he's coming to visit. All right? Whatever nation has made the master descend and visit through his messengers or through nations coming against another nation that he has judged, there are all manifestations of his visitation. So he said, I'm going down. I'm going to see this. Not I'm going to see this. I'm going down. I'm going to judge this. Okay? So, to get more of the story, let's go once again to the book of Jasher. And we have talked about in the past how the Bible references the book of Jasher. Okay? Let's get more of the story. And I have, what is this? This is the book of Jasher, chapter 9, verses 20 to 39. Now listen to this. In our Bible, in the scriptures, we are given a shortened version of this. But Jasher, which I consider to be more commentary, okay, gives us a longer version of the account. Okay? And it says, and this is the book of Jasher, chapter 9, verses 20 to 39. And it says, and King Nimrod ruled securely, and all the earth was under his control, and all the earth was of one tongue and words of union. Remember, this is after the flood. So after the flood, Nimrod rose to a position of power and prominence. This is the first real type of the anti-Messiah working in a governmental system. Okay? And it says, and all the princes of Nimrod and his great men took counsel together. Phut, Mitzrayim, Cush, and Canaan with their families. And they said to each other, come, let us build ourselves a city, and in it a strong tower, and its top reaching heaven. By the way, this may have been the first skyscraper. Okay? Notice how people are obsessed with building tall buildings even to this day. Okay? And we will make ourselves famed so that we may reign upon the whole world, in order that the evil of our enemies may cease from us. Okay? That we may reign mightily over them, and that we may not become scattered, flip the page, flip it again, over the earth on account of their wars. And they all went before the king, and they told the king these words, and the king agreed with them in this affair, and he did so. And all the families assembled, consisting of about 600,000 men, and they went to seek an extensive piece of ground to build the city and the tower. And they sought in the whole earth, and they found none like one valley at the east of the land of Shinar, about 2 days' walk. And they journeyed there, and they dwelt there. Okay? And they began to make bricks and burn fires to build the city and the tower that they had imagined to complete. And the building of the tower was unto them a transgression and a sin. Okay? And they began to build it. And whilst they were building against the Lord God of heaven, pause, they were building against him. Against him. Okay? They imagined in their hearts, this is what happens when the heart becomes so corrupted and so prideful. This is what they started to think. They started having fantasies. All right? It says, and they imagined in their hearts to war against him. All right? And to ascend into heaven. And all these people and all the families divided themselves in 3 parts. Okay? The first said, we will ascend into heaven and fight against him. The second said, we will ascend to heaven and place our own gods there and serve them. And the third part said, we will ascend to heaven and smite them with bows and spears. And God knew all their works and all their evil thoughts, and he saw the city and the tower which they were building. And when they were building, they built themselves a great city and a very high and strong tower. And on account of its height, the mortar and bricks did not reach the builders in their ascent to it, until those who went up had completed a full year. And after that, they reached to the builders and gave them the mortar and the bricks. Thus was it done daily. And behold, these ascended and others descended the whole day. And if a brick should fall from their hands and get broken, listen to this, they would all weep over it. And if a man fell and died, none of them would look at him. This is where their priorities were. Okay? They didn't care about the loss of human life. They were so consumed by hubris that only making a name for themselves and the arrogant dream of Nimrod and all those associated with him is all that mattered. But we're going to see as we continue that this is somebody else's dream. Okay? And it says, and the Lord knew their thoughts. And it came to pass when they were building, they cast the arrows toward the heavens, and all the arrows fell upon them, filled with blood. And when they saw them, they said to each other, surely we have slain all those that are in heaven. This is called the setup. Okay? They started shooting up, and the arrows came down, and then they were like, oh, look, we hit something. We hit them. All right? Not knowing that Yah was orchestrating their demise. Okay? Because the measure of their wickedness in this pursuit was filling up. Okay? And it says, for this was from the Lord in order to cause them to err, and in order to destroy them from off the face of the ground. And they built the tower and the city, and they did this thing daily until many days and years were elapsed. And God said to the 70 angels who stood foremost before him, to those who were near to him, saying, come, let us descend and confuse their tongues, that one man shall not understand the language of his neighbor. And they did so unto them. This is the origin of multiple languages. All right. God said to his entourage, come, let us go down. And you confuse their languages. Okay. And it says, and from that day following, they forgot each man his neighbor's tongue. And they could not understand to speak in one tongue. And when the builder took from the hands of his neighbor lime or stone, which he did not order, the builder would cast it away and throw it upon his neighbor that he would die. In other words, now pay attention to this. Pay attention to this. I need you to understand this point. One of the signs that Yah is judging a nation or a people is infighting. When people start to fight one another. All right. Think about what's happening in the nation right now. Think about what's been happening. When Yah starts to judge a nation, he will take the means of men having peace with one another. Strife and infighting will become the way of the day. Okay, this is one of the signs. If people understood the signs, it would be undeniable that modern Babylon was under judgment. People can't see it because they think that, oh, well, you know, we'll recover. We'll get past this. I'm like, there's no getting past this. It's going to get worse. Okay, one of the signs, and we'll say that again, that a nation is under divine judgment is that the people will start to fight each other. And eventually it will descend into full-blown civil war. Okay? Full-blown war. Because when people are unable to tolerate one another, they will start to fight with one another. We haven't got to that point yet, but I assure you that it's coming. Okay? They made a movie about it a while ago. I told you, watch the movies. They tell you what's going to happen before because they have to. They have to. It's part of some cosmic law. All right? It's their way of saying, well, if you go along with it, that's your fault. They think that they can wash their hands of guilt if they show you what's about to happen. And if you become a participant in it, they're like, well, we showed them. That's their mentality. That's their logic. Okay? All right. So let's keep going. And it says, and from that day following, they forgot each man his neighbor's tongue, and they could not understand to speak in one tongue. And when the builder took from the hands of his neighbor lime or stone, which he did not order, the builder would cast it away and throw it upon his neighbor, that he would die. And they did so many days, and they killed many of them in this manner. Notice the unrest came first. The confusing of the tongues or the breakdown of communication led to people fighting each other. That's one of the first signs, okay? And the Lord smote the 3 divisions that were there, and he punished them according to their works and designs, because he punishes measure by measure. Okay, this is what people don't understand. Yah's all about perfect judgment. Whatever you do, he is the only one who is capable of punishing you exactly, congruently, according to what you have done. Okay? And it says, those who said we will ascend to heaven and serve our gods became like apes and elephants. Pause. This is literal. This is actually literal. All right? People are like, he transformed them into animals? Yes. Or animal-like creatures. And if you're having a hard time wrapping your mind around it, there's a particular cryptid, if you don't know what a cryptid is. These are creatures that people laugh at people now for saying, I saw it. People are just like, don't worry, we're going to see them all soon too. Okay? You know, this guy's crazy. He said he saw a monster. It's no monster. Don't worry, they're coming. All right? Yeah. There's a particular cryptid that is said to be Bigfoot, abominable snowman, Yeti. And they said that these creatures are ape-like. I just need you to understand that there is some truth to the things that you've heard. Okay? And those who said, we will smite the heaven with arrows, the Lord killed them. One man through the hand of his neighbor. And the 3rd division of those who said, we will ascend to heaven and fight against him, the Lord scattered them throughout the earth. So we, those of us who have mixed lineages or whatever, some of our ancestors were some of these people who were scattered. Okay? just notice this. So those who said we going up to heaven, who thought that they were so high and mighty, he turned them into beasts. And those who said, you know, we are going to, what's it say? We will smite him with heaven. We will smite the heaven with arrows. He turned them against each other. So they started smiting each other. Okay. And then those who said we will ascend to heaven, their fate was to roam the earth because no one could understand what each other was talking about. So they said, we're gonna go up to, and it was just like the whole thing was done. Okay? And those who were left amongst them, when they knew and understood the evil which was coming upon them, they forsook the building. They said, nope, absolutely not. And they also became scattered upon the face of the whole earth, and they ceased building the city and the tower. Therefore he called that place Babel. If you want to know what Babel means, it means confusion. The place of confusion. All right? For there the Lord confounded the language of the whole earth. Behold, it was at the east of the land of Shinar. And as to the tower which the sons of men built, the earth opened its mouth and swallowed up 1/3 part thereof. And also a fire also descended from heaven and burned another third, and the other third is left to this day. And it is of that part which was aloft, and its circumference is 3 days' walk. And many of the sons of men died in that tower, a people without number. Okay? So the first Babel experiment, which the United States of America, modern Babylon, engages in to try to climb up into heaven and to fight against God, was a massive failure. All right? But here's the reality of the situation. The people whose languages were confounded, they took the story with them. This is why ancient stories can find agreement with one another. It is a puzzle. This is why you will notice that people are talking about Nimrod under multiple names. Their languages changed, but the knowledge of the event was passed down. What's happening in these last days is, and what the beast is going to do is, he's going to unite these factions, wherever they are, into a one world religion that's going to worship him as the incarnation of Nimrod, the end time beast. Because this man has the spirit of Nimrod, the mind of Nimrod, to challenge the Most High. Okay? He is a modern day Osiris. He is a pharaoh. Okay? So everybody's going to come together and say, you know, I may not understand what you're saying, but that sounds a lot like the myth that my ancestors had. And they're going to be like, you know what? And that sounds like the myth that such and such over there had. And everybody's going to be like, are we talking about the same thing? It's going to be like in Step Brothers, that movie that came out a while ago. Did we just become best friends? And everybody is going to be like, yup. We in fact did. Go ahead, Shantae.
It's also done by the uniting of the unspoken things. You know, they speak in code, and those things cross languages.
Symbols is really their language. Yeah.
The secret societies.
Yeah.
The masses are once again speaking the same language against Yah.
Exactly. Exactly. So where does this dream really originate? This dream to ascend into heaven. This dream to go up. The children have inherited the dream of their father. Okay? Let's go to Isaiah chapter 14, verses 12 through 14 in the KJV. The children have inherited the dream and the hubris of their father. Because who do you think they're trying to ascend into heaven for anyway? Who do you think they're going to place at their head? Okay? The very one who lost the war, it wasn't even a war. Okay? I mean, it was a fight. It was quick. He was cast out. He was thrown out. He was flung out like trash. Like the trash he is. All right? And ever since then, he's been sitting and stewing in his hubris and his hatred, just trying to find a way to get back at God. That's why he did what he did to us in the garden. He's like, oh, those are his kids. I'm gonna kill them. All right? Yeah, he's a top tier hater. Okay? No one hates like him. All right? So, Isaiah chapter 14, verses 12 to 14, and the KJV says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cast down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, now listen to this, these are the 5 I wills, they are called. I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. Okay? In other words, I'm going to go above the firmament. Okay? I'm going to go above the waters. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation, where the holy ones meet. I'm going to sit there. All right? In the sides of the north, in the uppermost place. All right? I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. I will be like the Most High. Okay? Let's go to the amplified version of this. Isaiah chapter 14, verses 12 to 14 says, how you have fallen from heaven, O star of the morning, light bringer. Star again. By the way, we were talking about that last time. Star.
Yes.
If you want to know what Lucifer is also said to be the name of the planet, I put that in quotes, of the star Venus. Venus. All right? Who I believe also in mythology is associated with the goddess Aphrodite, the goddess of love. Notice how all the things are tying together into a nice little tightly knit bow of deception. Okay? How you have fallen from heaven, O star of the morning, light bringer, son of the dawn, or the morning star. Okay? You have been cut down to the ground, or you have been cast down beneath the firmament, okay, to the earth. You who have weakened the nations, king of Babylon. Pause. All right? So the one who is being discussed here, we're talking about Shaitan. We're also talking about someone who's coming, the king of Babylon, because the king of Babylon is going to be indwelt by Shaitan. Whoever this beast is, he will be fully indwelt. This is what our ancestor Shaul was alluding to when he started talking about the abomination standing in the holy place. People are looking for the new temple, and they're just like, any second now. And I'm just like, you've lost the plot. You missed it. The building isn't the temple. The human body is the temple. And Shaitan is going to take his place inside of a man and declare himself to be God in this unholy vessel. Those who have wisdom can see, like, wait, so Yah talks a lot about us being the temple in the New Testament. And then you start to put the pieces together, and you're just like, what is this abomination? What is this thing that's coming? What is it? All right. It says, you have weakened the nations, king of Babylon. Okay. But you said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. Stars again. Stars. Okay. I will sit on the Mount of Assembly in the remote parts of the north, the highest part. Okay. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. Okay. These are the inner thoughts of the Dark Father and his son, the beast. They have these thoughts. All right. Because Shaitan is doing a counterfeit of the Most High and his son. Okay. So we're going to read this paragraph and then we are going to be done. Okay. And it says, it has long been the dream of wicked men under the headship of the anti-Messiah spirit to pierce the firmament and ascend into heaven. What appears to be an innocent desire to explore the universe and go where no man has gone before, like in Star Trek, in our day is a carefully crafted mask intended to hide the malicious pride of unregenerate mankind as they attempt to enter the high holy place and usurp the celestial throne. It is our desire in our unregenerate state to be gods of our own realities, and that is a desire that Shaitan actively feeds because he knows he's damned. He knows it. But why should he be damned alone when he can take as many people as he can with him? Misery loves company. Shaitan is the most powerful created being, and he lost handily. And when our brother returns, he's going to lose handily again. He's going to be manhandled. It's not even going to be. All Yah has to do is shine his light on him, and all power is gone from him. Okay? Shaitan is a master of convincing you that his worldview is what's really going to happen. He's a master of it. And he's had practice because, as I said, he convinced a third of his brothers over a period that, hey, we got this, right? I mean, we're going to go in there, we're going to make we got this. And when they got there, they were being thrown. They went hurling. Okay? So when you understand that he convinced superior intelligences, then you understand that those of us who are inferior to them, it's like child's play. It's child's play. And the only thing that we have as a buffer is the spirit of the Most High. Okay? So, the next time we gather, we are going to talk about NASA because I have some very weird things to tell you. I have some odd things to say. Very strange, very disturbing, things that don't seem to go together. Like, if you're a scientist, why are you doing this right here? You know? Okay? I need you to know that many of the institutions that claim to be scientific are in fact promoting and pushing propaganda and pseudoscience. Okay? Science that is not actually science, because it doesn't study anything real. All right? So, once again, I am Moray Gabriel Freeman. This is Under the Big Top, Biblical Cosmology, the Flat Earth, and the Lie of Heliocentrism. I will see you guys next time. Have a blessed day.